Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 2 In Depth. In today's episode, we're doing FAL versus SMR. This is a good compare and contrast episode of the two semi-automatic assault rifles in the game. Not sure why we needed to, but we got to. Both of these weapons have been patched, nerfed, buffed, and altered several times, so it's kind of an update episode in a way. My older episodes aren't entirely accurate anymore. They're still very close, but not 100%. So we're going to see which of these weapons is better, or more accurately, since they both have strengths and weaknesses, which one of these two weapons might suit you. The first thing we want to talk about today is the damage. The FAL will deal 55 damage in close quarters combat, but drop off to 40 at a distance. That is a very, very high damage profile for pretty much any gun in this game, 55 to 40. That's either 2 shots to kill or 3 shots to kill. However, not to be outdone, the SMR will actually deal 59 damage in close quarters combat, slightly more, and drop off to 49 damage at a distance. It's still going to be 2 shots to kill or 3 shots to kill, but if you're dealing with enemies that are slightly injured or behind a wall or maybe even been hit just 1 or 2 flashbangs, the extra damage on the SMR could cause you to get 1 less shot to kill, which is a very important thing because that means you live and they die. Perhaps a better comparison between these two would be damage over range. In the 2-shot kill range, the SMR has the advantage again. The FAL only has a 16.5 meter 2-shot kill range only. That's still a very good 2-shot kill range. That's kind of like the maximum range of the KSG, if I'm kind of remembering correctly. I'm kind of pulling that from memory. The SMR has a 2-shot kill range of 25.5 meters. There's lots of submachine guns that are doing their minimum damage at that distance, and the SMR is still killing in 2 shots. That is a very long range and very powerful assault rifle. However, if you put the select fire attachment on it and put these two weapons in fully automatic, that tells a very, very different story. The FAL will now kill in 2 shots in 2.5 meters, which is kind of almost right in front of your face. It gets a huge nerf with select fire when you flop it over to the fully automatic mode. The SMR recently has been changed where it also gets a nerf when you put it in fully automatic mode. It drops down to 12.7 meters. That's kind of about the maximum range on the not the KSG, the 870 MCS, the range where you're only getting hit markers. It's still a decent 2-shot kill range, but it's not the best anymore. So my recommendation is that you avoid the select fire attachment when possible. The rate of fire on these two weapons, very similar again. The FAL shoots at 468 RPM, and the SMR shoots at a slightly slower 416 RPM. Depending on where you want to measure from, that's about an 11%-ish difference in these two particular weapons. Normally, a 50 RPM difference wouldn't make a big difference on other weapons, where your rates of fire are up at 800, 900, 1000, something like that. But on these two in very low RPMs, that makes a bigger difference, and it can cause oversampling with overzealous trigger fingers if you squeeze it too fast. While they have similar damages, their ranges vary wildly, and the rate of fire makes a bigger difference than most people give it credit for. Because of this, the FAL has a faster close range time to kill than the SMR. When it comes to close quarters combat, the SMR is traditionally not a good weapon. There's some other reasons that we're going to discuss later, but the SMR just doesn't really do very well in close quarters combat, whereas the FAL is a good close quarters combat gun, and it's a pretty good medium range gun too. The SMR, however, kills much faster at medium and long ranges. Because of that additional range component, you're getting 2-shot kills pretty far out there, and you're dropping people pop 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 drop. Very, very dangerous. So it's kind of very different uses. If you want to rush and play aggressively, the FAL will be better for you. If you like to sit back and poke at people, the SMR is probably going to be more your style. And when it comes to the rate of fire, like I mentioned earlier, because you can shoot faster if your trigger finger is faster, most of you can shoot faster than that 400-ish RPM, where you can get very close, but it also kind of prevents you from oversampling. It's very easy to squeeze the trigger too fast with the SMR and waste shots, so you need to kind of do it conservatively. The FAL is more or less at people's spamming range. Now, pro players have it down perfectly, but we're not going to talk about that. And the select fire attachment, if you put that on there and put it in fully automatic, it's going to make it shoot a little bit slower. You're losing about 10 to 15% speed on either one of those, and the loss of accuracy and the loss of range. So generally speaking, I avoid it. The SMR penalty for the select fire accuracy-wise is extremely small, and the range, it used to be almost no penalty. That has a relatively small range penalty, 50%, at least compared to the FAL that gets totally nerfed into oblivion. When you put select fire on the FAL and go fully automatic with it, it kicks like a mule, it has terrible range, it sprays everywhere, it turns it into a very bad gun, so I would just avoid that. The comparison that most people don't think to make that ends up being very important, especially when it takes similar amounts of shots to kill, is the magazine size. The FAL has a 5-round advantage in magazines with 25 over the SMR that only has 20 rounds per magazine. This can make the difference between life or death. That's also why you can kind of get all close and aggressive with the FAL, whereas with the SMR you need to stay back and protect yourself because you're going to need time to reload. Speaking of time to reload, well, not time to reload, aim down sights time, the SMR also aim down sights slower than other assault rifles. All of the other assault rifles take a quarter second or 250 milliseconds or 0.25 seconds, however you want to say it, to aim down sights. The FAL is like all the rest of them. However, the SMR is much slower. Not perhaps not much slower. It's 10% slower. We'll say we'll go that way. And it doesn't make a big difference, but sometimes that'll get your goose in close quarters combat. The ability to aim down sights and put rounds on target into the enemy is very important. And we've already discussed that the SMR can't shoot as fast in close quarters combat, and now we have a slower aim down sights time. You're starting to see the picture more clearly that this is not an ideal close quarters combat weapon. When it comes to recoil, the FAL has slightly less recoil than the SMR. This is at least in semi-automatic mode, where every time you squeeze your trigger finger you shoot. The fully auto is completely different. I honestly like the feel of the SMR a little bit better, but I know that mathematically and in my experience the FAL has slightly less recoil. If you spam it too fast it may kick a little bit more, but the FAL generally speaking has been more accurate. When it comes to iron sights, I think the iron sights on the FAL are quite usable. I like them with a silencer because then there's none of that annoying muzzle flash and I can track my targets very easily, and the SMR iron sights are butt ugly. I just really try very hard to avoid the SMR iron sights because it's difficult to keep track rounds on target. I can't really see what I'm shooting at that very well. I have to have some sort of optical attachment on the SMR, whereas the FAL, if I really want to, I can go without. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you my recommendation. I'm going to recommend a weapon to you based on your playstyle, and then I'm going to tell you my personal favorite. If you like fast times to kill weapons, if you like weapons that kill very quickly, if you like to play aggressive, if you like to rush, if you like to be MLG, use the FAL. You're going to like the FAL if you like fast time to kill, high skill cap weapons. However, if you like to sit back, if you like long range lethality and to poke at people and to kind of not quite snipe but lay down some covering fire, suppressing fire, use the SMR. The SMR is much better at long ranges than the FML. That's completely different, the FAL. And right here at the end, my personal favorite is the SMR. I just like it so much better than the FAL. I really never got a good feel for the FAL. It's a very subjective thing, but I do not have the rate of fire feel. I don't have that sort of close range mentality. And if I'm going to get all close and dirty with a weapon like that, I'd really rather just have a TAC 45. I like the SMR. I like to sit way back and poke people and two-shot people from across the map and be really mean. And the FAL doesn't let me do that quite as good as the SMR. And that's my personal favorite, and that's my recommendation. Well guys, that's all for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something useful. If you'd like to check out the previous episode on C4, you can click the box on the left. That'll open a new window. The next episode, again, is your choice. I'm just doing things that you recommend. You leave a comment down there telling me what you want to see, and I'll review it. There is also an app down there in the description, the Drifter class building app, or the Ask Drifter app. You build a class, I give you feedback on it, and tell you what I think. As always, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.